Sunshine's Corner, being brought to you by Quint and Richie Studer. And a beautiful morning it is, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into Sunshine's Corner, where conversations inspire healing, growth, and hope. And today, we are honored to shine a light on a powerful resource right here in our community. And we're talking about Amate, did I do that right? Amate University, Institute. We practiced this all morning, I still messed it up. Now, at Amate Growth Work Method, they're highly respected. Their approach offers a rapid, affordable, intensive, and a spiritual grounded path to healing and personal growth for both adolescents and for adults. Wow, I need to make an appointment. Now, for many, emotional pain, it doesn't begin in your childhood, in your adulthood, but sometimes experiences from our childhood of adolescence can leave us feeling emotionally stuck. And look at that. That, I think, happens to a lot of people that I am encountered with. And I'm not even a doctor. But what I'm saying, it has impact on your relationships, your peace of mind, the ability to fully embrace life potential. It has a method designed to help individuals move beyond those barriers and step into emotional maturity. Lord, let me say that again. And step into emotional maturity, wholeness and renewed peace. With this conversation we're having today, we're all going to recognize that seasons meant for joy, especially holidays and special moments, can be emotionally challenging for those carrying unresolved trauma, painful memories, or if someone that you love is navigating those feelings. If you're doing that today, this conversation may be an encouragement for you that you can take the first step toward healing. And I believe in healing because it starts from within. So join us as we welcome Dr. Martha Horton, who believes that emotional maturity and emotional sobriety are not only connected, but achievable through comfort. Everybody got to take this on today. I want you to sit back, get your cup of coffee. Many of us discover the freedom that comes from facing the past and reclaiming our future. I am so pleased to have with us today. I want you to stay with us, get your coffee, get your conversation, get your hope ready, keep hope alive. Of course, that's Reverend Jesse Jackson, who just passed away. And please help me welcome Dr. Martha Horton to Sunshine's Corner. Good morning.
Good morning, Sunshine, and thank you so much for having me.
I am so pleased, and I believe that it's always a time and a season for something. We met several months ago.
Yes.
And I believe it's right for us to talk for such a time as it is today.
Yeah.
Because of things that I think there's so many of us that have that. We're stuck in our past.
Well, we need hope.
We need hope.
And the thing that you were talking about, Jesse Jackson, that is exactly what he said. That was his message, right. And so many people come to me today and they say, gosh, everything's going to hell in a handbasket. and what do? I feel anxious, I feel fearful, I don't know what the future's going to look like.
Right.
And in a way, we were talking before, it's like this is a gift time.
Right.
Because what it says is there's nothing outside of us that's going to fix us.
That's right.
Nothing. No matter whether you drink or you use drugs or you buy stuff or you have relationships or you're looking for love from somebody else. The answer is within. And I just really believe that spiritually this is a time of renewal and hope for people to get their insides together,
right,
so they can take responsibility not only for their own lives, but the part that we all are going to need to play in the society and the world that we're inheriting.
Yes. It is unbelievable. We need this conversation, don't we? We need to find out, because I'm going to tell you how you'll be able to get in touch with Dr. Horton so you can get yourself an appointment too. Because I believe everybody, such a time as it is, we really need that. Because I think even myself, now you're not going to believe this, but even when we set this time for this conversation, I have been going back and just reading, going through things and just reading, finding out. Oh my God, I need to make an appointment, number one, so I can get so many things that I hold within.
Yeah.
So that I can really feel and take that next step.
Well, the people I work with are not crazy.
Right.
The people I work with are normal adults who, like you said before, got stuck somewhere.
Right.
When there was too much fear in their lives.
That's right.
And typically it's what's happened to us. It's either we have alcoholic parents or unavailable parents emotionally, or there's abuse or whatever, but it's stuff done to us.
Right.
Very seldom is it the kid himself or herself got into trouble.
Right.
And therefore caused the problems that they've been living with. But if a kid decides there's not enough love and security in my environment and gets stuck, and then continues to grow mentally and physically, that emotional age stays the same. So this is why you see grown-ups behaving like little children.
Oh, yes.
Because they're coming from the place where they got stuck. And unless you go back to that stuck place and heal that series of traumas and things that happen, because generally it's not just one thing. Generally, if you get stuck back here, there are going to be other things that sort of happen to you in your life that you're going to have to resolve. But when you do that, then you get up to your own same age here, then you have the ability as a mature adult to take the risks that you need to take. But it requires going back. Because why? The older we get, the more inappropriate the behavior is, right?
Right.
So when you see a 50-year-old acting like a 3-year-old, you're saying to yourself, okay, put a bag on the head of that person. How old is that person emotionally?
Exactly.
That person's 3. So then you say to yourself, well, what happened to you when you were 3 years old? Let me tell you about my experience.
Please tell me.
Okay. My first few years, I lived with my very loving and supportive grandparents on a plantation in Mississippi and they had 15 kids, and they knew what to do with me as a little kid. This was during the Second World War. War ends, my father comes home, manic depressive, alcoholic, and shell shock. We move away from this really secure, very loving environment for me. I mean, they were racist and they were horrible, but I didn't know anything about that. All I knew.
Wow. Can you hold on one second? Because I can barely, okay, I want to make let me apologize to our viewers.
No, go right
Because I
ahead.
want you to come back to that, because we need to hear that. I want to apologize because you're going to hear some noise in the background. This is, we're going through a growing stage. We're almost out of this growing stage. We're maturing now.
Yeah.
What you hear, because we're recording right now, I want to apologize to you for your patience, that you dealt with me, because as if you remember the show by the Jeffersons, say we're moving on up, we're going to get there real soon. Really, really soon. When you hear that background, please, just know those are growing pains, that we're going through that pain of getting where we need to be.
Okay.
So we can have more relaxed. Now, I want to go back, because you say you're from Mississippi.
Yeah.
And?
All right, and so I was living on the plantation with my grandparents. War ends, my very dysfunctional father comes home, manic depressive, alcoholic, and shell shocked, and we move away. And all the alcoholism with my father, then with my mom, got started, and then we moved to Gainesville, Florida, and a couple of years later, my dad killed himself, and I found the body.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he shot himself. But the problem wasn't that he killed himself. The problem was my mom had left the gun in the house. The problem was on that morning there had been a picnic that my mom, or that day that my mom designed for my brother. It was his birthday. And off we went to Lake Waburg in Gainesville, where Mom was teaching golf at the University of Florida. And we came home, and Mom dropped my little brother and me off. I was 8, he was 7. And she drove everybody else home. I went upstairs, he was dead. I looked at him and I said, well, he had invited me to stay home from the picnic that morning, and I went to the picnic, so obviously he was dead because of me. And so from that moment, I was stuck. And my mom never really even asked, how was it for you? They took the body back to Tennessee, and so I was totally stuck with this belief that I was unlivable, that it was my fault, and that I was damaged goods forever, right? So I walked around life trying to make a life for myself. My mom's alcoholism took off. She married a professor of law at the University of Florida, then he died when I was 15, and she would get wonderful jobs and then lose them because of her alcoholism. Neither family would have anything to do with this. And so by the time I was 40, it had taken 6 universities and a year of nurses training and 2 marriages, and 1 to a psychopath, to get me to a place where I was really desperate. But this time, I had kind of reinvented myself. My mom had gotten sober. And she was she was the manager of all patient care at an alcoholism rehabilitation center called Hazelden in Minnesota. And I went there to get a master's degree, got a master's degree in addiction. Mind you, I'm still stuck at 8.
Okay, I'm wondering. Okay,
I'm still stuck at 8, and I'm doing better in my work life, and I'm getting degrees, but my inside self is still 8. So periodically, if something happened, like Mom got cancer, I had to put my dog to sleep, my son went back to live with my ex-husband. When that happened, I would self-destruct, go find a man to be with, typically inappropriate man, also about 8 years old, right? And so until the pain of whatever was real in my life went away enough, I was involved with this man, and then at the end of it, he would leave, I would leave, whatever. And I felt terrible. I felt like I was a fraud. I felt like I was presenting this front of someone who knew answers and could help other people, and I recognized I had a gift in counseling.
Okay.
But I was, in my personal life, I was having terrible problems, but in my professional life, I was like a star. So the bigger my star rose, the worse I felt about being a fraud. Okay, fast forward, after I leave Hazelden, I become aftercare director of a center in Pennsylvania. And while I was there, my aftercare program was blossoming, but I was still addicted to some guy in the neighborhood, right? So what happened was I just kept praying, please God, show me what the problem is. And I had this emotional crisis, and the director of the center happened to be with me at the time, and he said, Martha, why are you crying? What's the matter? What's going on with you? And he said, get up and come here, and he gave me a hug. And he said, now how old would a child be who would be having these kinds of responses? And I said, I don't know, my eyes were closed, and I had stuff running out of my nose all over him. And I said, well, I don't know, 8 or 9. He said, what happened to you when you were 8 or 9? And at that moment, Sonshine, I saw the little 8-year-old standing in that house with her father dead, feeling those feelings, and I thought, oh my God, I'm not a defective, unlovable, whatever. I'm an 8-year-old child, and I have the emotional tools of an 8-year-old.
Right.
And not only that, she was believing stuff that wasn't true.
Exactly.
I didn't kill my father.
No, you didn't.
I wasn't unlovable. It was terrible. So I began sending her thoughts and ideas inside myself. And amazingly, she would morph into older ages. When I would say, all right, now look, if I had been there with you on the day your dad died, I would have hugged you. I would have assured you that it wasn't your fault. I would have been there. So my ideas and my thoughts were what I had always needed. Because in a functional family, which I didn't have,
right,
what the parents know from the get-go, when they're mature, my job is to teach this kid to think for himself.
Absolutely.
To really depend on his own ideas and things inside.
Absolutely.
So the parent says, well, what do you think about that? Instead of that, mine was, you will think this way. This is what you're doing. Kids should be seen and not heard and whatever. So
I remember those words.
That's right. So parents were telling me what I ought to be rather than allowing me to form myself. So by going back and encouraging that inner part of myself and asking her, what do you need from me? How can I give you the love and security that you needed in that moment of trauma? She all of a sudden could relax and say, well, finally somebody's home. Because it's all I ever needed inside myself was myself,
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
But I didn't know. I was so frozen and was so dependent on what was going on outside of me to fix me, to fill me, and everything. I had no idea that I had the ability to help myself. I had no ability that I could connect to the part of me that was stuck, right? So over 3 years, and by this time I've moved to New York City, and I started an aftercare center there, right? And I'm doing better. I'm still dysfunctional. But I'm finding that my alcoholics that I'm working with and the families of alcoholics and stuff are not able to live through the risks they have to take. Because in therapy, after you work with people for a while, they're going to say, well, I've got to change jobs, or I've got to change relationships, or I've got to take some risks loving myself, self-care, whatever. And what would happen was people would relapse after 6 or 9 months.
Really?
And I thought, what in the world is the matter with me? So I closed my center. And I walked the earth for a while. And one day, in '86, I think it was, I was walking down First Avenue in New York City, and all of a sudden I thought, what's happened here? And it was that the back of me and the front of me had merged. And it was the most amazing thing. It was over the time, and what had happened, the last risk I had to take, that didn't realize it, that I loved myself through, go inside and say, this is tough, but you can do it, was when my son went to college. And the empty nest was there. And I had to love myself through the loss of that relationship and his new life and everything, right? So then, almost immediately after that, Simon & Schuster asked me to write this book.
Really?
On parenting for adult children of alcoholics, because of course I was an adult children of alcoholics. And I said, well, I just don't think I can write this book, but I can tell you that this journey that I've been on to be emotionally mature would equip me to be a better parent. And that's the book that needs to be written. So I took 3 years, I wrote my book on growing up in adulthood, just based on my 3-year experience, right? So then I go back to New York City. And that was when God really gave me my life mission, because I didn't know what I was going to do. I thought when I went back, maybe, because I thought I'd done my bit for immature people, right? People started finding me at the bookstores and buses and my apartment house, and they'd say, well, what do you do for a living? And I said, well, I'm a counselor, kind of, and I have this book. And they said, what's your book about? And I would tell them a little bit. And they said, well, I'm emotionally stuck, and I'm having emotional problems. Why can't you help me? And I thought, I'd never even thought about it. I'd never even thought, because I knew two things. I knew, one, nobody's going to sit still for 3 years for healing. That was one thing. Number two, I saw my inner self, and I didn't, and it was an accident kind of, because I was in the middle of an emotional crisis, and I thought, how am I ever going to help somebody else find an inner thing?
Right.
But I had taken a little course in guided imagery some years before.
Right.
And I thought, well, maybe let me try this. So when people first started coming to me, and I said, I'll try to help you. It seemed right for me to try, right? I found out that by using a very simple guided imagery exercise, people could locate their inner self. They could figure out why they got stuck. They could start filling themselves with the love and security they needed to heal those traumas.
Right.
And then they would shift ages. And the first time it happened, it was so funny, Sonshine. This first time, this gal came in, her name was Anne-Marie, and Anne-Marie said, well, I see a 3-year-old. She's in this field, she's in France, her parents are musicians, and her grandparents are real grumpy. And she has on this pretty white dress and a white bow and little Mary Jane shoes and socks and whatever. And I'm saying, okay, fine. This is really good. And so, and I said, well, why is she stuck? She said, well, because every time her parents leave, she feels abandoned when they have to go and do their musician stuff, right? So she felt abandoned. So she said, well, now, I said, well, what would you do if that happened now, or what did she need at the time? She said, well, I would have taken her with them. I wouldn't have left her alone. I would have given her the love she needed. So I said,
hold it right there. We're going to go take a break. We're going to come back. Ladies and gentlemen, I tell you, I am so into this because, I mean, there are so many things running in my thought process right now. I mean, this is amazing. What age are you stuck? What age is it that holding you back? We're going to be back with more with Dr. Horton here in just a little bit. Keep this number ahead, 850-432-7768. Let's find out where you are. We'll be back with more right here on Sunshine's Corner.
Good day, Pensacola. Welcome to a new segment on health and wellness sponsored by Baptist Healthcare in partnership with Sunshine's Corner. Every first Wednesday of the month during Sunshine's telecast, we're going to be bringing you information about health and wellness and ways to make sure we're improving the quality of your health care here in Pensacola. After all, we want to ensure that you're going to the right place at the right time and for the right reason, and that you don't feel alone. Can't wait to see you.
At FPL, we plan for storm season all year long. We're strengthening poles to better withstand severe weather. We're clearing lines to improve resiliency, and we're constantly training teams to act at a moment's notice. Because we're always working, always preparing. So when storms do hit, you can count on us. FPL, working for you every single day.
Get a fresh cut and a fresh start at AHW Barber Academy. We focus on growth. Join us at 3822 North 9th Avenue, Pensacola, for a top-notch $6 haircut while supporting aspiring barbers. Our students learn in a real-world setting, guided by experienced professionals to become licensed barbers. Need a cut or a new career? Visit AHW Barber Academy or call 850-692-9298.
I'm Emily Echeverria, Marketing Communications Director for Council on Aging of West Florida and the host of Coming of Age. Watch our show to find out what we're doing for our seniors and their families, and hear from area experts and local business owners about their programs and services. Want to help? Find out how you can work with us to bring a better future to our seniors. Watch Coming of Age, 3:30 p.m. Wednesdays, only on Blab TV.
Where's that pretty girl?
And welcome back to this edition of Sunshine's Corner. I tell you, we're having such a conversation. Now, you know me, I like to talk, but do you see how I'm just engulfed in this conversation? I'm just consuming it all. So therefore, it is really, it's touching. And as I think, I'm seeing things. You know, you get these flashes and you just think as you speak, right? We're talking about understanding emotional stuckness. I mean, there is so many things I'm sure that you are experiencing as well. Even, and I'm going to say this too, because even in my community, the black community, there's a thing that we don't want to go see a therapist. We think that we're crazy if we go see a therapist. And that's not true.
Not only is it not true, but this work that I do is with normal people.
Exactly.
Who got stuck like I did due to something that wasn't my fault.
Right.
It was, I'm sure my grandparents who eloped at 14 and 15 were also stuck,
Yeah.
right? Because when my mom read my book about growing up in adulthood, she was 80 years old. She came out of the bedroom with this book, and she said, well, I'm 14 years old, and I'm not growing up. And I said, well, Mom, you don't have to tell me. You lie, you steal, you manipulate,
Right.
you do. And she had a PhD. She was the leader of getting Betty Ford treatment facility.
Really?
Yes. She was sober for some years and became a leader in all kinds of areas, but she was stuck at 14, so I became her mother. And so when she would do something horrible, she would call me up and she'd say, well, I did something. Now, what am I going to do about it? And I'd say, well, Mom, what are you going to do about it? And she said, well, I just hurt your brother's feelings. What am I going to do? I said, call him up and make amends, and then call me up and tell me that you did it. And she'd say, well, all right. So a few minutes later, she'd call me up and she'd say, Martha, I did it. I said, what'd you do, Mom? She said, you know damn good well what I did. But it was so interesting because just before she died, she called me and she said, are we at peace, Martha? And I said, yes, we're at peace, Mom. But I had become her mother because I'm sure with 15 kids, she was the 14th of 15, right? There wasn't a whole lot of love and nurture going on during the Depression. And so my mom was a victim of that. And so finally, somebody, me, was giving her the discipline and affection that she had always needed as a 14-year-old. So it was like so beautiful. And I think the message I have is what I do isn't traditional therapy.
Right.
Traditional therapy, and I'd gone to therapy, I'd read books, I'd gone to workshops, I'd done all kinds of other stuff. By the time I figured out that I was 8 years old, the pathway I found was really inspired. I didn't give it to myself. It was like God just took me and said, look, honey, you have a lot of potential, but you are screwed up. You are stuck.
I love the way you talk. I love it.
You are stuck, and so I'm going to show you how to undo some of that stuff, right?
Right.
And then your mission in life is going to be to help other people like you are, because people don't come to me because they're mentally ill or they're actively in addiction or something. They come to me when their lives are not working out. They're not the parents they want to be. Their job life isn't successful. Even if they have all kinds of potential and they're really smart like I was and whatever, there's something missing. And what's missing is the ability to be fully adult and to really be inwardly at peace.
Okay.
Because peace, as you very well know, comes when we are solid inside,
Exactly.
when our insides feel loved and secure, and we're able to listen to our own inner guidance. And we're listening to that guidance, the guidance of God, whatever we believe God to be, right? And then we're doing what we're told. And when we do what we're told in the moment, we are going to be at peace. And it's that sense of peace that's going to guide us out of this situation in our communities and in our world and in our relationships in our families. If we don't know how to handle situations, but we know we have this wonderful, beautiful resource within us, then we have the answers. But the problem has been, what do normal people do to figure out where they're stuck and to grow up? And so when I went back to New York, after I'd written my book on growing up in adulthood, and I started developing this method, it wasn't because I was this great therapist. It was because I was led to the actions to take. Because why? I grew myself up. I just teach people how to grow themselves up.
Okay.
I don't do it. And and it takes, instead of the 3 years it took me to grow up, it takes weeks, a month, 2 months to reach your own same age, to reconnect with your inner guide, to begin taking the risks, the emotional risks that need to be taken to reach a maturity, and then to have the capacity to go ahead and take the risk to live the life that's really right. But we're not going to be given that mission in life until we get to our own age inside. I don't think God loves us enough to say, look, as a limited person, why would I give you this assignment?
Exactly.
Right?
I agree. And I hear what you're saying, because I believe that when you said that a person, when they really act like they're a 3-year-old, I encounter that so much. I mean, and I can look at people and say, what is wrong with you? I mean, and I wonder where it's stuck. But then they always talk about what was, where I was, when I was there, when I did this there. So obviously you're stuck back there. And then with the things that I see that you do with me, there are times I feel like just taking the step and just leaping out because of things that I see that are happening around me. That I don't want to be that, and I don't know how to get out of that. Now, this is going to sound crazy. Sometimes I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but it's something like I should be further. It's something I should be somewhere else. Did you understand that? That sounded...
No. I really understand it. And so what you have to ask yourself is, what parts of me have never really healed?
Okay.
Where are my fears? Where could they possibly have come from? Where are they, and you ask yourself, all right, when I'm under a lot of stress, or I'm really fearful, or I'm overwhelmed, it's that moment, it's that behavior that you're looking for, not typically normal stuff. You probably go through most of your life without this problem. It was when it's like I said, when my mom got cancer, when my son went back to live, when I was overwhelmed, I could see myself grabbing for something. And like you said, wanting something beyond and saying, what is that?
Yeah,
what is that thing? Well, peace really means, in this moment, I am listening to my inner guidance and I'm doing exactly what I'm told. But you got to be up to your own same age to do that.
Okay.
So you have to go back and you have to give the love and security to that part of yourself as you go through the series of traumas and things up to your own age, right? And then your plate's flat. That way you can listen carefully to that inner guidance and you can do what you're told. Because peace is not about a feeling. It's not, I feel tranquil, I feel comfortable. No, it's a knowing that we are in the right place doing the right thing. And it seems to me in this world it's so complicated and so confusing that we have to say, is there anything I can do? Is there anything I'm supposed to be doing right now? And if there isn't, then it's go within and stay there, right? Because we will be given the assignment that's right for us. But we have to know when to do stuff and when not to do stuff, right? And that comes from your inner guidance. But people who are perfectly normal, but who are stuck emotionally in fear, this is the only path. And the pathway is within us. So there has to be a way to go inside. And one of the things that happened when I went to New York was I figured out how to help people go within. And I do a real simple exercise with people about, I have a little place where they recline, right? And put on a little eye mask. And I teach them how to relax by breathing and doing some stuff. And then I ask them, okay, so go to a place in nature that you really love, and then imagine that in the distance there's a little light and a little dot, and it's coming towards you, and all of a sudden it turns into a person, and then you realize it's you, and then you look at the age of that child. So you're going to know how old you are first, and then you're going to know about what happened at that age, and then you ask, what are the two things you ask the inner self, what do you need from me to feel loved and secure? Because those are the two keys. When we feel loved and secure,
right,
we can take the risks we need to grow up, right?
I agree.
So we're finding out then how old the inner person is, and also what that inner part needs to feel loved and secure, and then we are responsible for giving it that.
Okay.
It's not, nobody else can see inside. I can't see inside anybody.
Okay.
So I have to teach people how to do it themselves.
Okay. Now, if a person is walking around with trauma, the self-help that they need, right? I'm sure maybe you have something that you're dealing with that you're wondering why you're stuck where you are. Or you wondering why that continually rolls through your process that you're not where you should be. How is it that when you get to that person, how do you create a method that a safe place of healing when you realize that you're at that age? A younger person, that you got to overcome that so you can step into where you should be.
Well, even if you go to a good counselor, somebody who's gifted in counseling, whether it's a pastor or whether it's someone in the community, you have to know what to ask them.
Exactly.
You have to say, look, I know I am stuck X. What can you offer me that will allow me to connect with that part of myself? Because without that inner connection, like I was telling you, I have a little place where people recline and where they go inside and whatever. Because the solution is saying to that inner part, I knew all my life, my father killed himself and I found the body and I used it to get sympathy from people and whatever, but it didn't change anything until I connected with her and gave her the love and the security she needed. So the way we do this is you say to yourself, let's say you got stuck because there was some sexual abuse in the family, or your father was alcoholic, or your mom was abandoning yours, or whatever. So just whatever it is, you go inside yourself, and this is not rocket science. You can do this yourself. You go inside yourself, close your eyes, take a deep breath, go inside and say, look, if I had been with you on the day, me, my adult self, if I had been with you when this or that was happening, different things would happen.
Okay.
Like, for instance, with my little 8-year-old. Honey, if I had been there on the day your dad killed himself, I would have embraced you, I would have hugged you, I would have given you the love and security you needed. I would have assured you it was not your fault, and that he was an adult and he was making his own decision, and at that day it was the best he could do, right? Right. So then the child says, oh, okay, the force that I've needed, which is me, is there finally with this love and security, so I can relax this fear that I have, that I've been just frozen in fear, and I can continue to morph into older and older ages. So it's our healing. So I work when people come to me, I offer them a free 2-hour session because I want to make sure they're there because they need to be, and it's right. And then I start people with an intensive of 4 hours, 2 days in a row. That may sound like a lot of hours, but that you're sitting with someone, but it really kickstarts the growth process. And the 4th hour of each day, then we do this inner work stuff, which, as I said, is really not rocket science. It's really just guiding you to help yourself and figure out how old you are and figure out why you're stuck and rework the stuck stuff. And then the amazing thing, and it was true in my life, but it's so amazing to watch other people do this quickly now. Every time we shift ages inside, every time we've healed some sort of a trauma or something, the reactions in the outer life change. So let's say you're having trouble with a son of yours or a daughter of yours or something. All of a sudden, because you're following inner guidance, your responses are different. And they can be different because it's more appropriate as you mature, right?
Exactly.
So and by the time you get up to your own age, it's like you're not making the mistakes you were making before.
But of course, I mean, wow, we are learning so much. You see, I should have had, you'll be able to go back and watch this show again tonight as well. But I want you to realize is there's something that you're dealing with that you're at a spot and you don't know where you are, why you're there. Call, I'll give you that number in a moment so you can sit there and talk.
Yeah.
And realize what it is that you need to do to move forward. 850-432-7768, that's the number to call. It is time now that we take a pause for our Black History in 2.5 minutes, being brought to you by AHW Barber Academy, where you can get your certificate within 8 months. And of course, my good friends there, David Hawkins at Joe Morrison's Son Funeral Home, right here on Sonshine's Corner.
The 1970s were pivotal for African American women. Through the creation of seminal political and literary organizations, they created the infrastructure for the modern Black feminist movement. Black women have lived the twin realities of racism and sexism that exist at the intersection of their identities. To speak to these issues, political groups were formed like the National Black Feminist Organization, otherwise known as the NBFO.
In 1973, it was born of the concern that neither mainstream feminism nor the civil rights movement had centrally focused on the challenges facing African American women. Margaret Sloan was the leader of the National Black Feminist Organization. Future Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton was one of the founders of the organization. They, with a group of other women, set forth an agenda to lead to greater political, media,
My guest tonight is Margaret Sloan.
and policy representation of Black women's issues.
But at the same time, the National Black Feminist Organization is being critiqued by other African Americans, saying that, wait a minute, what about working class women and the struggles that they're facing? But then we also have to deal with sexual identity and the oppression that queer Black women will be facing.
Out of this discourse, the Combahee River Collective was formed.
The Combahee River Collective is saying that we have to acknowledge the various sexual identities within the African American community. And they are drawing their inspiration through name and deed from the Combahee River Raid.
And they named it after the Combahee River because this was the place where Harriet Tubman helped free 700 African Americans during the Civil War.
The Boston-based collective mounted political campaigns across Massachusetts, addressing police brutality, pushing to desegregate public schools, and fighting for justice for abused and slain Black women. Though the Combahee River Collective disbanded in the 1980s, their philosophy has endured, becoming part of the infrastructure of intersectional Black feminism today.
This notion of intersectionality was later coined by Kimberly Crenshaw, but exercised amongst the Combahee River Collective in the 1970s.
Decades later, Black feminists are still fighting. Drawing upon the tenets of the Combahee River Collective, campaigns from the Women's March to the contemporary movement for Black lives have flowered and thrived.
And welcome back to a conversation. I think we should have more. Let me first say thank you to our sponsors who are sponsoring our Black History Message. I say, and with Dr. Gates, he's the best. I just love him. So he goes back and he tells you all this history. Thank you, AHW Barber Academy. And of course, my good friends there at Joe Morrison's Son Funeral Home. We are talking today with Dr. Martha Horton, and we are learning some things today that are absolutely amazing. I want to say this to my community. I know I have some issues that I need to get corrected. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself and think about the things that have you in a place where you wonder sometimes. Why am I stuck right here? Or why do I feel like this Right. Why am I having these type of emotions in these type settings?
And why am I making decisions?
Yeah.
And then that aren't in my best interest?
Exactly.
Or the same old decisions. Why
Yeah,
am I in
over and over.
relationships that don't work? Why am I in a job that why is my teenage kid still living at home? I mean, there are all these issues
Right.
that we have, and we say, what in the world is wrong with me? And the thing is, traditional therapy isn't the answer. There has to be another pathway
Exactly.
for us to grow up. So I went to therapists. My mom had a PhD in psychology, even though she was stuck at 14, right? And it's like you've got to go inside. There's no, and I think, it's funny, Sonshine, in this world, or when I was growing up, like the Supreme Court was thought to be the epitome
Exactly.
of wonderful. And then we have had athletes, then we've had movie stars, then we've had all kinds of heroes. We don't have heroes. We've got to turn into our own heroes in our own lives, right?
Most certainly.
If we're going to solve the problems that are facing all of us in this world, we got to know if we're in the right place, doing the right thing, what we can do to help, and we've got to be equipped.
Most certainly.
Right, and so especially for normal people, there had to be a pathway forward. I was just a normal person. I had some healing gifts, but I wasn't trained as a counselor. I just was a person. I had a master's in addiction, but I still had never had an hour of counselor training. And so when this healing occurred to me, and God just really said to me, honey, there are so many people out there like you are, who are normal people, who are stuck, who do not need traditional therapy.
Right.
It will not work for them. Medication won't work for them.
That's right.
There has to be another path. So if you are out there and you happen to be, biased about therapy or thinking that you don't like therapy, understand you don't need a therapist. You need a guide. You need somebody who can guide you to heal yourself and to help you find the place within you that is going to give you the information you need to live the life that's right for you. You know the old Shakespeare thing, to thine own self be true.
That's right.
And that means we have to go within, we have to heal the inside self, we have to attach ourselves to that place inside, because there aren't any answers out there.
I agree. I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
And I know that, I'm asking this because this is how I feel, my dear friends who are viewing today. With the world, and I'm talking about me right now, with the things as they are, and how things are shifted, and it's as if it's pointed toward my community. And the picture that's being painted, it's difficult for the things that are going on with me when I hear and what I see that are pointed at people of color. I'm just being real. It causes me to question, when I hear a person say to me who's not of color, say to me, okay, it's okay, but he's talking this talk, he's doing this, but everybody around me, I see it differently because of the way that I feel on the inside. Because of the way I feel like, what is it that, because of my beautiful pigmentation, that is always a negative?
Because people have to have someone to look down on.
It hurts.
Of course. It's horrible. I mean, this is a regressive kind of thing, but what's required is the wisdom to know what battle to fight, where we can contribute, what needs to happen. Because it isn't only just your community. When you see Minneapolis and you see people showing up for each other,
exactly,
right? It isn't just your community.
Right.
It's people now who are saying, no, Black Lives Matter, everybody matters. I have gardeners who are from El Salvador and all kinds of other places, and these people are terrified that their ICE is going to show up for them and whatever, right?
Yes.
Yes. So when you're saying this, it says you've had in your community many times when it's looked like there was no hope. And then someone or some idea has come and said, no, there is hope. Keep hope alive.
Come on. Exactly.
Right? Or Martin Luther King Jr.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
people have to be appreciated and loved. So it's calling to arms, all of us. Everybody who cares about the things that Christ or Buddha or Mohammed said, love one another, uphold one another.
Exactly.
So we have to be sure that our motivation is right to begin with, but then our energy is spent not just all over the place, but doing the thing that we can do. You're being the voice of your community here. You're bringing information of hope every day. The fact that you feel passionate about this says, this is what God gives us. I am passionate to help people who got stuck early. This is my little lane in my life, right? This is what I've been given. And it's what gets me up. I'm 84 years old, and I get up and every morning and I say, who can I help today? And who's going to call me? And what's going to happen? Because we each have a mission. But I had to get to my own age inside and out and be at peace with myself to be able to live this mission, right?
Right.
And so with you and with the community, it's like all of us have a part to play. What's going on right now is evil and negative and horrible for everybody.
Yes, it is.
And so what's happening is more and more and more people are saying, what do I do? What do I do? So it's even more imperative that we are able to follow our own inner guidance. So you say to yourself, Sonshine, what is it I'm to do? Well, what you're doing is you asked me to be here, right? Because I'm a way people can get from here to there, right? Can prepare themselves to be warriors.
Most certainly. We got a question for you. Somebody called. Somebody want to ask something. Good morning.
Good morning, Sonshine.
Good morning.
Good morning. The lady put me on hold, so I really didn't hear what was going on. I was waiting to talk, but I'd like to thank Dr. Horton. It's a possibility because I didn't hear the answer to your question to her the last time. I may change the subject, but I don't know. Dr. Horton, I'm from Philadelphia, Mississippi, and Meridian, Mississippi, and you know that's where Mississippi started burning. The movie was made. But Sonshine, I had to call because I have acronyms for what you all are talking about.
Yes, sir.
And it's dealing with some inner peace. And, you know, peace is spelled two different ways, P-E-A-C-E and P-I-E-C-E. I had already written it, so I went and got it. I dealt with some inner peace and a big peace. Peace, P-E-A-C-E, praying elevates a Christian's existence.
Come on. I love it.
And then P-I-E-C-E is a big piece. A big piece of what? A big piece of power. Because P-I-E-C-E is prayer is entering Christ's energy. I worked in 2 power plants when I got out of the Air Force, and I had PTSD. And one of them was built for the World's Fair in St. Louis in 1904, so it was like I worked in an existing palace of energy. And PTSD, for all of my veterans, my wife and I served for over 71 years together. Right. PTSD now means praising the Savior daily. And that will help clear your mind field. And dealing with being stuck in your age, you're once a man and twice a child. So stay young inside, but grow up spiritually.
I hear you.
Because then you'll have an attitude of inquisitiveness with everything that you face. And he knows that we are nothing but his what? Children.
That's right. That's right.
God bless you, Miss Horton. God bless you in what you're doing. And supernatural blessings on both you ladies.
Well, thank you, Kingdom Walker.
Thank you for your. I love the idea of stay childlike,
That's
not
right.
childish. Immaturity is about childish, and being mature says we can be childlike.
That's right.
We can live and enjoy this. And let me tell you about something maybe that would be interesting to you. John Huston, the big director who did wonderful movies. And his daughter was Angelica Huston, made a movie in the 40s following soldiers from the Second World War in a mental hospital because they'd come back shell shock, which now we call PTSD. And what they found out was really revolutionary in the day was they weren't having PTSD from what happened overseas. They had PTSD that started in their original families that had never been healed. The traumas of leaving their parents or making mistakes, all kinds of things. And so for 35 years, that film couldn't be aired because these were real soldiers.
Of course.
And in the last meeting, the psychiatrist was meeting with these soldiers in these gorgeous uniforms and everything, and these men, and he said, now look, when you go back to your home, understand that you're going to need more healing. You're going to need people who can give you love and security, but that it wasn't your fault that you were sent over there and you had to experience this trauma that was on top of the original trauma.
Exactly.
So we're sending immature young people to war zones and places that they have no business being until they have an opportunity to grow up.
Absolutely.
And some of the psychiatrists who worked in hospitals like this, when they came back, they championed growing up and becoming emotionally mature as the answer to things like PTSD.
Wow. You see, ladies and gentlemen, we should think like this. We have to talk about. I believe, and I tell you every day, when there's something that we need to know, we need to talk about it, and then we find out there's help for us. We're going to give you ways to get in touch with Dr. Horton here in just a little bit. We're going to take a commercial break and be back with more. 850-432-7768. Let me hear from you right here on Sunshine's Corner.
You finally found the perfect car in racing blue. You even got them to throw in the LED fog lights for free. Auto Owners insures your car because some people never learn to parallel park. That's simple human sense.
Ask the Messick Insurance Agency in Pensacola if Auto Owners make sense for you.
Keep going, more. No, stop!
My name's Kelly McLeod. I'm the owner of Bella Magazine. Bella is a source of uplifting and inspiring content for the women of Pensacola.
I think the magazine is just so thoughtfully done. There's a lot of attention to detail. The stories are really good.
You've got seriousness, you've got fun, education, fashion. It just encompasses everything.
Women are multidimensional, and so is Bella.
From the efficiency of American natural gas and the dependability of nuclear power, to the strength of Florida's sunshine and the flexibility of advanced battery storage systems, we leverage a diverse mix of energy sources to power our growing state, ensuring reliable, low-cost power for your home or business whenever you need it. FPL, working for you every single day.
Well, I think it's all about local, and I'm a big believer in local. So I think anytime you can carry a message out locally, it's important. And I think it's anytime the person that delivers the service can also deliver the message, which is unusual. You have the people that actually deliver the project doing the talking, and I think that's a huge difference, and really makes a huge value difference for the consumer. So I'm really just so grateful that we have this local opportunity with Blab TV. My name is Quince Dieter, and I am Blab TV.
That this family is going to be ideal or loving or whatever. And
we're having a great conversation. We're owned, but that's good.
Oh.
Because, look, I wouldn't stop her. But it was absolutely great. We were talking about, and thank you, Kingdom Walker, love you with a perfect kind of love. This is seasonal emotional wellness. Whereas we were talking about sometimes, I don't like Christmas because of this. I don't like to get around on the holidays because of this. Then what is it that causes you to feel that way? With this, if you don't want to do this, these are ways they can talk to you and find out what's holding them back that way. And the fact that I also love this too, that you keep the fact of it is about, there's a spiritual connection in there as well. Mm-hmm. And I think that is so
that's the basis of it.
That's it.
This work is about taking your head, the I messages, I want, I don't want, I think I ought to, whatever.
Right.
And you're putting it within yourself and you're saying, wait a minute here, ask the question, how do I empower my inner guidance system? I ask the question, what am I supposed to be doing right now? What's the next right thing to be doing? And when I'm obedient to that inner voice, I am at peace with myself.
Right.
And it's the knowing I'm at peace that gives us the actions to take that are going to be right for us. You know, you and I were talking about the fact that there are a whole lot of people who are being put down, who are being disparaged. This is a terrible time in a lot of ways for your community, for lots of communities. Women, for instance, being a woman. But the thing about it is we have to know where to point our arrow. We have to know what it is that God is asking us to do.
Right.
And just like this is this most incredible opportunity that you've been given to help heal your community.
Right.
And all the communities
Exactly.
of people who pay attention to you, right?
Exactly.
And so it's, okay, then who are the people I'm supposed to be having on the air, and where do they come from, and blah, blah, blah. So this is your corner, right? This is your corner.
That's right.
And it's so powerful because this is the answer. The answer is love. The answer is hope. But we've got to get from being stuck little children or adolescents to adults who can say, I can take responsibility for my life and my actions, and I will.
Absolutely.
You know, when Martin Luther King, I mean, he is my hero.
I love him.
When he was depressed before he gave his final talk and then was killed, it was in the depression that he was fighting God. He was saying, I don't want to do this thing. I don't want to keep going. I'm not liked in Detroit.
That's right.
I don't like this.
I remember all that.
And then he stood and he said, you know, I may not get to the promised land with you. I may not.
That's right.
That man had to surrender unto death.
That's right.
To do what his inner guidance was telling him what he had to do. So when people ask me, all right, well, what about following?
We got 30 seconds.
All right, what if I'm following inner guidance? Even if you die, if you're at peace, you're going to be fine.
Absolutely. Give that phone number how they can get in touch with you.
970-456-3268.
And if you didn't get that, make sure you reach out to me because you can find me and I'll make sure you get in touch with her. We've got to go. It has been a great day. I want to leave you as I do every day, my dear friends. Never, ever, ever lose your focus. Always remember, keep God first, and I'll guarantee you this, you're going to be a total success. So until tomorrow for another day of sunshine, know that I love you with a perfect kind of love. Go out and tell somebody today that you love them and mean it from the heart. Until then, keep shining while I'm gone. Have a great day, and thank you, Dr. Horton.
Thank you, Sunshine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
That
you,
was
Sunshine's
fun.
Corner, being brought to you by Quint and Richie Studer.